AnnArbor.com today reported on what was in the records of federal search warrants when law enforcement authorities searched the homes of members of the Hutari militia in Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. Among guns, and more guns, knives, machetes, swords, body armor, gas masks, liquid tear gas, bomb manuals, a book of Adolf Hitler's speeches, potassium chlorate, grenade holders, and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition, a couple of items stand out. The search of Hutari leader David Brian Stone's home turned up 3 DVDs labeled Waco. The search of Hutari member Thomas Piatek's home turned up audio tapes of The Turner Diaries. The Turner Diaries is a novel that is a white supremacist race war fantasy. Highlighted clippings of the Turner Diaries were in the car that Timothy McVeigh was driving when he was arrested the day of the Oklahoma City bombing. The destruction of the Branch Davidian compound at Waco is what Timothy McVeigh says drove him to plan and commit that bombing. Now, of course, under the First Amendment, we all have the right to even really disgusting speech. It's not illegal to read neo-Nazi books about heroic white militias bombing federal buildings and killing Jews and black people and overthrowing the U.S. government. It is certainly not illegal to own DVDs about the siege at Waco. But the Constitution's protection of our right to read and espouse all sorts of things does not require that we ignore threats and parallels of American extremists today, seemingly reading from the same script of past American extremists who committed horrific acts of domestic terrorism. The Turner Diaries and Waco guys and the Hutari militia are accused of plotting and training for the mass murder of U.S. law enforcement officers and waging war against the U.S. government. A week from today, April 19th, is the 15th anniversary of the Turner Diaries and Waco-inspired bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah building, which killed 168 Americans. During this hour on MSNBC on April 19th, we will be airing a documentary. It's based on never-before-heard tapes of Timothy McVeigh, including his detailed account of what motivated him and what exactly happened on the day of the bombing in April 1995. Here is a preview from the McVeigh tapes. Again, the full special airs a week from tonight. In January 1993, Timothy McVeigh is frustrated by the dead-end existence he has been enduring since leaving the Army, and he is still shaken by his experiences in the Gulf War. Eager to figure out his mission in life, McVeigh packs up his car and says goodbye to his quiet hometown of Pendleton, New York.
I lasted at home for 1 year and 1 month. I said, this whole neighborhood, this ain't for me. You know, I don't have a place here. I haven't found a love. And then I hit the road.
The odyssey that he was living in the early 90s was really bizarre. He thought nothing of getting in his car and driving hundreds or even thousands of miles. And he was searching for something.
As a guy who I think had a lot of trouble relating to other people, that was a world that was very kind of amenable to him.
He was gathering inspiration and information for what he thought was his mission in life. He wasn't going to be the super soldier, so who was he going to be now?
McVeigh's mission is still unclear, but he's beginning to hone in on his main focus of fury, the U.S. government. He finds like-minded thinkers on the gun show circuit. During the early 1990s, these expos become gathering places for the fast-growing militia and patriot movements. It is in this subculture that McVeigh finally finds an outlet for his growing rage.
I mean, you could find an amazing amount of literature on insurgency, on forming militias, on building weapons. They're amazingly anti-government.
One of my favorite bumper stickers, when you've heard the one that says, when guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have guns. Well, there's a new one that was my favorite. It says, when guns are outlawed, I will become an outlaw. And it was at that point when I was fully intent in my life that I was going to live outside of the law.
He started to believe that our government was going to come into people's homes and take their guns away. And this scared the hell out of Tim McVeigh.
And that same mentality is what you see from gun show to gun show to gun show. You know, get your weapons now, stockpile them now. For Tim McVeigh, this must seem like this is the next war that's about to be waged.
Tonight, at least 4 federal agents and 1 cult member are dead, and at least 14 other people were wounded in the gun battle.
On February 28, 1993, outside the central Texas town of Waco, Many in the Patriot movement believe the spark to that next war is ignited.
You come point guns in the direction of my wives and my kids, damn it, I'll meet you at the door any time.
In an effort to take Branch Davidian spiritual leader David Koresh into custody, federal agents raid his compound and a massive firefight breaks out.
6 Davidians and 4 ATF agents were killed, and that started the 51-day standoff.
It was a clash between federal law enforcement might and withdrawn people who were fiercely protective of their community.
We feel a bond in this community. The bond is that they're fellow gun owners and believe in gun rights, and they're fellow survivalists and freedom lovers. When do you draw the line and say enough is enough? Somebody has to send a message to say you can't go any further.
And McVeigh got in his little junk car and drove to Waco, Texas to find out what was going on.
Michelle Rausch, a college newspaper reporter at the time, was at the Branch Davidian compound outside Waco to investigate the story. It wasn't until 1 year after the Oklahoma City bombing that she realized the man she interviewed on the hood of his car was none other than Timothy McVeigh.
He was very unassuming. He was literally just very casual, sitting on the hood of his car. Very articulate. Tim said, people need to watch what's happening and heed any warning signs. At the time, I thought, well, what does that mean? Well, when I went back and read that in my article, it gave me chills because I thought, did that mean Oklahoma City? Was he foreshadowing?
After camping in his car outside the Branch Davidian compound for a few days, McVeigh drives to Terry Nichols' farm in northern Michigan.
In less than an hour, the compound that had fascinated the world for 51 days was destroyed in a raging inferno driven by...
On April 19th, 1993, McVeigh and Nichols watched the violent end of the Waco siege on television.
I'm watching flames lick out windows, and I'm watching tanks ram walls. And my eyes just welled up in tears, and tears started coming down my cheeks as I'm watching this scene unfold. Just stood there in stunned silence. What is this? What has America become? I just remember that scene. It burned into my memory. I'm emotional right now as I talk about it. You know, I felt absolute rage.
Tim saw this as an act of war against the people.
It was the bully again. This time, the horns were on the head of the federal government.
The rules of engagement, if not written down, are defined by the actions of an aggressor. Okay? Now, what rules of engagement would you interpret in examining Waco? Kids are fair game, women are fair game.
I think that was the final moment for McVeigh, and he says so himself, right? I mean, after Waco, now is the time for action, right? Now we're going operational.
With Oklahoma City being a counterattack, I was only fighting by the rules of engagement that were introduced by the aggressor. Waco started this war. Hopefully Oklahoma would end it.
You can watch our entire 2-hour special documentary, which is called The McVeigh Tapes, Confessions of an American Terrorist, next Monday, April 19th, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on MSNBC. We'll be right back.